And likewise, our law, the Data Privacy Act of 2012, conforms to this particular definition. Now, personal data refers to basically anything that would identify a data subject. This is what we call as personal identifiers. And these personal data or personal identifiers are basically those that would point to an identifiable natural person. And this may include the following: your name, your identification numbers, such as your social security number, your UMID number, your VI contact identification numbers, your employee number. Likewise, it could include your location data. And likewise, our law, the Data Privacy Act of 2012, conforms to this particular definition. Keep in mind that personal data refers to our smartphones, basically anything that would identify technical gadgets nowadays have is what we call as personal identifier. And this personal data, personal identifiers are basically those that would personal information identifiable natural particular, and this may include the Data Privacy Act. Now, why? Your name? Well, your identification number. For example, using a UMID number, an iPhone, or an Android smartphone. Your employee number. Basically, if you likewise your location settings, they will basically keep a record of every place that you are going to, that you're bringing to, and this type of information is particularly keep in mind personal data refers to our smartphone. Basically anything that somebody has access to digital gadgets nowadays is what we call as personal identifier. And this personal identifier are basically those that would personal information identify small particular locations, and this may include the value. Doon lahat sa mga may asawa, halimbawa, your name, your identification number, your wife, your family, your employee number, basically to be like general factor things. They would imagine your problem that you have that from every place that you are going to, you're identify information on personal all say website somebody has access to digital gadgets nowadays. Personal doon lahat sa mga may asawa, identification number, your wife, your family, your employee number, basically to be like general factor things. They would imagine your problem that you have that from every place that you are going to, that you're identify information all say website somebody has access to digital gadgets nowadays. Data to the higher education institution, or rather this data to your basic education institution. Well, the personal information controller is specifically mandated to exercise prudence to discreetly, explicitly store this data. And they ought not to surrender this data to just about anybody else. Now, if you work for a government institution, nawawalan daw po yata ng audio for a while. Okay na? Okay. Now, going back to the point. All of this data, all of this sensitive personal information, such as your health data, whether you're diabetic or what, hypertensive or what, extremely sensitive if you are a HIV positive person, or in the case that in the current crisis that we have now, if someone within that family has turned out to be positive for COVID, for example, this data are highly sensitive. Why? Some people may not necessarily understand what it takes to have COVID, for example. And people might ostracize the family. At nangyari po yan in some situations, in some instances, during the early onset of the COVID problem in early March, we've heard of instances in Mindanao and even in Cebu of our healthcare frontliners, someone through Zonrox, if I'm not mistaken, a bleaching liquid doon sa isang nurse natin. Meron namang ilang mga healthcare frontliners natin in the Visayas na nahihirapang umuwi doon sa kanilang mga bahay, sa kanilang mga boarding houses, primarily because, they were being stigmatized for being healthcare frontliners. Now, all of this data ought to be controlled discreetly and explicitly by one personal information controller. And that personal information controller is specifically designated by your office to take charge of the storing of the data and the sharing of this data. Now, if I remember my law correctly, someone has to write your office a letter requesting that particular data. And if they do, your office has to respond within 2 days to that particular request, either granting the access to the data or denying the access to that particular data. So that has to be kept in mind. All of this highly sensitive personal information must be explicitly and discreetly controlled by your personal information controller. Hindi siya pwedeng basta-basta na lamang po ipamigay, lamang i-share nang walang check na tinatawag. Nagreklamo. Other sensitive personal information could include a person's, for lack of a better term, sex life, and a person's sexual orientation. No? Sex life, yung mga proclivities natin, ano ba yung mga preference natin sa buhay. Some people prefer na yung tinatawag natin mga BDSM, mga bondage, sadomasochism, sexual practices. Well, these are not looked at as sexual issues or sexual problems, but merely sexual proclivities. Ngayon, kung meron kang ganong mga predispositions, tapos biglang shinare, well, that may cause certain problems for you. Now, in light of online education, the online mode of education, we have to bear in mind there are 3 types of websites or 3 types of applications that we need to carefully examine. Una, yung tinatawag natin social networking sites. Basically, your social networking sites could include your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, and so on. Like this application. Your online messaging applications could include Viber, could include Telegram, WhatsApp, WeChat, and so on. Now, online conference applications, on the other hand, could include Google Meet, or formerly Google Hangouts, and the like. Now, in many instances, this type of application, what do we mean by that? The data is strictly protected by the server, strictly protected by the provider. So the data is not specific, is not easily shared, so to speak. Now, however, in recent years, merong mga issues na mga lumalabas. Ang mga issues na to range from these particular servers, these particular providers have unwittingly shared the data of their users to third-party users, third-party consumers, basically mga ad agencies, mga ad agencies, and third-party companies. As a result of which, dahil doon sa since dahil they were able to unwittingly share this information to these other third-party users, ikaw, na user netong mga social networking sites, netong mga online messaging applications, netong mga online conference applications, you begin receiving ads, you begin receiving online marketing tools na hindi mo naman talaga hinihingi. Well, some people look for them, but some people don't. Say, you just like to spend time over at Facebook, over at Google, over at Zoom, to be able to enjoy online communication with your friends. Pero all of a sudden, biglang na-limit yung joy mo sa panonood, yung joy mo sa paggamit ng application service, sapagkat biglang marami nagpa-pop up. No? So, why does it happen? Well, it does happen because there are certain policies that these particular applications have, and that you unwittingly click on these particular applications. As you click on these particular applications, you unwittingly give your consent for this particular online applications to control your experience of their particular applications, of their particular websites. Now, let's go to the next slide. Now, isa-isahin natin yung mga nakita ko mga issues na maaaring kaharapin ng ating mga educators o ng kahit sino mang gumagamit nitong mga online applications na ito. Una, nabanggit ko na nga po, the potential availability of users data to third parties for the purposes of 1. Commercial marketing, data mining, research, surveillance, or law enforcement. Anybody who uses Google, anybody who uses Facebook are well aware that the business of Facebook, the business of Google, the business of AOL, the business of Amazon are basically data mining. The most potent resource out there is data. And each data subject contains within him a number of data that is potentially valuable to a third-party user. So Facebook, Google, and all other websites collect your data. Ostensibly, they do not share this data to these third-party users. Ostensibly, it's in their data privacy policies. Now, how many of you take time when you signed up for your Facebook account? How many of you took time to basically read through the fine print of Facebook's data privacy policy? Now we are using Zoom. How many of you read through the 2 to 3 pages equivalent of Zoom's data privacy policy? So, medyo marami yung fine print na nakalagay doon sa kanilang mga data privacy policies. But mind you, if you're the type of person, if you're the type of user who values his privacy, please take time to read through them. Bakit? Maaaring sa inyong pag-login, sa inyong pag-click, sa inyong pag-opt-in, meron kayong ibinibigay na kapangyarihan sa kanila na in any ordinary situation ay hindi ninyo ibibigay sa kung kanino man lamang. So, might as well take time to read through and examine this data privacy policies. Medyo mabusisi ang kailangan na oras sa inyong ibibigay dito sapagkat napakadetalyado po. Now, what about law enforcement? Well, ang aking perspective dyan, if you've got nothing to hide, wala kang tinatago, wala kang dapat ikatakot to the fact that law enforcement basically mine your data. Ano bang tinitingnan ng law enforcement officers and ng law enforcement agencies dyan? Well, basically, how you behave on Facebook, how you behave on the internet. What do you search for? Say halimbawa, nagkaroon ka ng pattern na ang hinahanap mo ay photos of nude children, photos of sexually explicit photos of kids, of children. Well, kung yan ang type of online behavior mo, that will open a red flag for law enforcers, right? O halimbawa, ang hinahanap mo, ang Google searches mo for lately ay how to set up a homemade bomb, how to make an internet improvised explosive devices. Kapag ganyan ang type of searches mo online, well, that becomes a red flag for law enforcers. So talagang dapat kang matakot. Pero kung ordinarily, ang ginagawa mo lang naman sa Google searches mo ay best routes, the best takeout, best delivery options in Metro Manila, May 20, 2020, like of COVID. Well, there's nothing harm with that, right? So, just take note, just remember that all of this internet behavior, all of our online behavior are data stored somewhere. Ostensibly, they ought not to be mined, they ought not to be shared without your consent. Now, how do you share this in any way? Well, if you give your explicit consent to all of these data miners, you give your explicit consent to these service providers to share your data, that's one. Kakala talaga yung data mo, may pamimigay mo kung kanino. Pangalawa, maaaring nakatago yung inyong pag-consent doon sa pag-share ng data na ito, doon sa cookie policies na iyong i-opt-in, doon sa cookies policies na iyong bibigyan ng consent. Di ba kasi pagbukas mo ng website, unang lalabas, this website collect cookies. Ostensibly, cookies are collected by the servers only to collect data that would provide you with the best possible experience. Para kung meron silang, yung mga ads na ibibigay nila sa iyo, ay yung may kinalaman doon sa mga preference mo lamang. Okay. Technically, ganun po lamang, to allow you to best experience that particular server. But, read through the fine print. Read through the fine print of Facebook. Read through the fine print of Google. Read through the fine print of Zoom. Somewhere in the fine print is are explicit provisions that allows them to share some of this information to their other users. So be very careful with what you opt in for. Baka mabigla na lang kayo, yung opt-in ninyo, higit pa doon sa inyong gustong i-share doon sa mga servers dito. Next. Balik ko ito. Facial recognition. Well, facial recognition softwares are highly convenient softwares, di ba? Sapagkat hindi mo na kinakailangan gamitin ang iyong biometrics, hindi mo na gamitin ang iyong fingerprint, hindi mo na kinakailangan i-key in sa keypad mo yung number combination mo o kung anong passwords meron ka, right? You only have to show your face. Fine. So far, ngayon, sa mga nagagamit ko ito dito sa ating mga smartphones, sa ating mga tablets, and even sa ating mga laptops. Nagagamit din po paminsan-minsan even in some other online applications. I haven't seen it being used in online conference applications yet. So, ano ang dapat nating bantayan? Anong dapat nating tandaan sa paggamit ng mga applications sa mayroong mga facial recognition capabilities or software? Well, one, anybody who gets your facial biometrics, anybody who gets your facial recognition biometrics, has access to whatever data that you're keeping in your gadget. Just simple as that. So don't surrender your facial recognition biometrics to just about anybody. Kung natutulog ka, be careful where you keep your cell phones. No? If you find yourself in a public place drunk and you've got facial recognition capability on your smartphone, you fell asleep in a public location, say in a bar, in a club, someone had this funny idea of getting your cell phone, they could easily gain access to your cell phone, everything that's inside, simply by pointing your cell phone to your face. Simple as that. So, may mga pro and con. Mabilis ka makagain ng access sa cellphone mo, hindi mo na kailangan press yung fingerprint mo, hindi mo na kailangan i-key in yung login details mo. Fine. But, likewise, there is a tail. Merong buntot na akiba to itong facial recognition software na ito. Anybody who gains the idea of getting access to your cell phone can easily do by just getting a copy of your facial biometrics. So, be very careful. Now, next. The ability of third-party applications to collect and publish your data without your permission or awareness. Again, I cannot overemphasize the fact that you need to read through the fine print of every data privacy policy that is foisted on you as you log in or as you enjoy the services of these online messaging systems. Read through them because it is highly probable, as I have seen in so many instances, I won't name these applications, at baka mahabla tayo. In some applications that I use, in some apps that I use, as I've read through the fine print of their data privacy policies, under cookies policies, you unwittingly allow them to share this data to their other users, to their partners, so to speak. For example, one application says that they do not share, they do not sell, so to speak, they do not sell your data to them. But they allow third-party users to gain access to your data without paying for your data. How do they pay for that data to this other server? Kung kanino mo unang binigay yung data mo? Well, simple. Yung mga ads na kanilang nilalagay doon, pointed doon sa preference mo. Kasi, yung preference mo guided by your behavior in that particular application. So, itong third-party users ito, ang gagawin niya, sasabihin ni Facebook, sasabihin ng online application na ito, this is the actual preference of this particular user. And this particular third-party user will now be flooding you with ads leading to your preference. So, how many times have we experienced, say, in the last 2 days, you've been searching for pre-COVID, bago mag-COVID. This is a particular experience that I had. Pre-COVID, I was searching for affordable, cheap airfare or cheap flights going to Bohol. So, it took me like a week before I decided whether I was going to Bohol or not. Now, in the days leading to the end of the week, after I initially searched for that particular key terms, cheap airfare to Bohol, cheap flights to Bohol, in that week, the intervening days prior to the end of the week, yung Google searches, yung Google interface ko, yung Facebook interface, yung Google interface, lahat naglalabasan doon. This particular airfare, cheap flights to Tagbilaran, this particular airfare, cheap flights to Bohol. So, how did they gain access to that? So, this past few days post-COVID, nagkaroon kami ng kasunduan dito sa opisina namin na magpakalbo kami lahat. Ako talaga ay nakakalbo na. So lahat kami nagpakalbo. So sabi ko, magkakaroon tayo ng mga webinar. Medyo alanganin naman, nakita-kita yung medyo hindi na natin makapal na buhok. So what I did was, I was searching this past few weeks of hair fiber. So yun yung mga powder na nilalagay mo rito sa buhok mo para magmukhang makapal yung buhok mo, maitim na maitim. So I searched for that last week. Up until this morning when I woke up, yun pa po yung lumalabas na mga ad suggestions sa akin. So why? Because whatever websites I went to in the last few days, in the last few weeks, basically took note of what I was searching for in the past few weeks. So all of this basically happened without me giving express permission to anybody of the to any of the websites that I searched in na i-collect nila yung data na yon. Wala akong pinagsabihan doon, wala akong binigay express consent. Now, most of these websites, most of these applications, online applications that we use, have opt-in privacy control mechanisms. What do we mean by that? Well, for one, they will ask for your permission to, no, they will categorically ask you, tatanungin kayo nila ng diretsahan, in fine print. Itong website po na ito ay nag-record ng cookies, itong website ito, record your online name, and so on and so forth. Would you still like to proceed? Yes. Why? If you don't, some websites will not allow you access to that website, as simple as that. Some websites allow you. Generally, most websites will allow you to gain access to their websites, even if you don't allow the cookies to record the website to record your cookies. But your ability to enjoy the website is limited. Primarily because these cookies are designed to make your life better, supposedly, by taking a look, by tracking your preferences on the website. So, generally, all of these websites are designed one way or the other for you to opt in, to simply surrender your consent, to simply give your consent. I'd like to enjoy your I'd like to enjoy your website, so might as well opt in. Now, all of these websites have cookie settings. All of these websites have data privacy settings. You can navigate through them and you can control what you can actually share. But then again, as I would repeat, if you opt not to grant them access to all of this data, all of this internet data, all of this online data, all of these online identifiers that you're giving to their particular website, if you don't grant them access to that, nalilimitahan yung kapasidad mo to enjoy the experience in that particular website. Next. As I was saying. Now, proceed na po tayo sa letter F. The potential use of location-based social networking, the potential use of location-based online conference applications even, for stalking or other illicit monitoring of your physical movements. So, a friend of mine provides trainings for digital forensics, and I was shocked that the first time that I heard about it, I was particularly shocked. Now I'm not so shocked anymore. During the first training na ginawa ng friend ko na yan, napanood ko yung kanyang demonstration of digital forensics, I was so shocked that my own phone is able to track my particular locations over time. No? So, if I keep the control of my phone at all times, so I have not interference access to this particular data, medyo nakakatakot, no? Kasi makakapag-create siya ng pattern ng movement mo. Kung may mga kalabang ka sa politika, may kalabang ka sa negosyo, kung meron lang masamang tao, meron lang mga masasamang loob, may masamang balak sa iyo, that particular data can be very dangerous. Now, in the hand of a dictatorial government, in the hand of an authoritarian government, that's very dangerous. If you live in a banana republic somewhere out there, in Africa or somewhere in the world, but that you live in a banana republic, and this particular information are in your phone, and this government gains access to them. Well, I can only imagine anong pwede mangyari sa inyo. Nasa letter G na nga po. And the last but not the least is the potential of online applications to encourage encourage every online user to adopt voluntarily but imprudent, ill-informed, and ethical information sharing practices, either with respect to sharing their own personal data or sharing data related to other persons' persons and entities. Now take note of this in schools. The agency in charge of regulation is preponderant, has its propensity to require documentation of every activities that every schools conduct. Say, XYZ elementary school conducted this particular activity, this particular sports event. So, kinakailangan i-document, at kinakailangan i-submit yung documentation na yung somewhere. In some instances, documentation are posted on social media, right? It is highly imprudent of us to share all of this data on social media, especially if it explicitly identifies the data subject. The Data Privacy Act explicitly prohibits the unwitting sharing, explicitly prohibits the sharing of information without the consent of the data subject. Inuna mo ng picture, pinost mo sa social media, yung mga bata na naglalaro, yung mga bata na nagkakaroon ng sports activity. Ordinarily, walang masama, but the law does not allow that. Kinakailangan may consent kung sino man yung guardian na mayroong control doon sa mga bata. So marami nagsasabi, napakahirap naman po noon. Well, in this day and age, madali lang po i-blur yung mga itsura, yung mga mukha ng mga kabataan ko. So that we can do. So, in light of letter H, yung bullet item number 8, letter H, do not do any of this. Prudent, important, ethical sharing, etc. without the explicit consent of your data subject. No? Ngayon, kapag nagbigay naman ng explicit consent yung data subject mo, yung guardian ng mga bata, ng mga estudyante ninyo, fine and good. Pero kayong karapatang i-post yun. Pero, do not do that in the absence of that consent. Now, I'm reminded, nung araw, I don't know if some educators still do this, we've got the tendency to shame our students. Well, you could do that easily in social media, but please don't. The other way around, students should not simply record their teachers' mishaps in the classrooms, and then share it in social media. It's not allowed. No? The data subject, again, has to provide consent para yung mga recording ilalabas sa social media. Ngayon, maraming naglalabasan sa social media na mga recordings na kung sino man. Technically, the subject of those videos have the right to sue whoever is posting that on social media. Sapagkat po, karapatan nila, yung kanilang right to privacy, na-violate nga po dito. These are well-protected rights na dapat hindi lamang basta-basta sinasawalang bahala na kung sino man. Next slide. Now, let us examine some practical considerations. One, practical considerations that we limit to that's more pointed towards online conference applications like Zoom, Google Meet, and what's the other one? WebEx or WebEx is a Cisco application, so Cisco online conference application. One, they collect data. They collect data. Next slide. Babalikan po natin yung mga yun. Ito po ay, in toto, kinopya ko yung data privacy policy ni Zoom. Sabi ni Zoom, they do not sell our personal data. Whether we are a business or a school or an individual user, they do not sell our data. Our meeting, the meetings are ours. We do not monitor them or even store them after your meeting is done unless the host, unless we are requested to record and store them by the meeting host. No. Sa every Zoom meeting, my host, diba? Whether it is a pro, whether it is a basic or a pro or a premium type of Zoom account, my host. Now, the host can record this particular meetings. Now, if the host records that meeting, Zoom will prompt every participant of that meeting that that particular transaction, that particular meeting is being recorded. Okay. But you could be prompted, you're prompted right there and then. It is a very quick decision that we have to make right there and then, that this particular meeting is being recorded. Will you allow the recording of this particular meeting? Generally, if there's nothing, if the meeting is purely transactional, if the meeting is for the running of the school, for the transactions of the school, of your training session or whatever, walang problema. But, ito naman po yung akin. If you are the host, before you record, even before Zoom prompts all the participants of that particular meeting that they are being recorded, I would advise you, you're ethically bound as the meeting host to inform everyone in the group prior to the actual meeting that that meeting will be recorded. Better yet, put it in writing. If it's a company meeting, put it in writing. Draft a new company policy that all online meetings, all online meetings via Zoom or whatever online conference application you're using will be recorded for the purpose of company valuation or something. Put it in writing. Kumbaga, huwag mo lang biglain yung inyong mga participants na gano'n na nga po ang inyong gagawin. Ngayon, kung ganito yung inyong mechanism, kung ganito ang inyong delivery of teaching sa higher education institution or sa basic education, sa higher education institution, tricky pa din pero medyo mas madali. Sapagkat bakit? Ang inyong mga estudyante, most of them are adults, 18 years old and above. Senior high students graduate the minimum, say 18, generally. So, they have the mental faculty to decide for themselves whether they would enter into such a transactional relationship in Zoom meetings. But nonetheless, in light of COVID-2019, bago na yung mode of delivery ng ating mga instruction ngayon, generally online instruction, kung ang inyong online instructions ay via ganito, mga online conference applications, put it in writing in your admission policies. Very quick. Revise your admission policies in light of COVID-2019. This XYZ higher education institution has opted to use online modes of delivery for their instruction. As such, we may conduct classes via Zoom and so on and so forth. We reserve the right to record these classes and so on and so forth. Put it all in writing. No? Remember what the law says. The consent of the data subject must be given explicitly to the one controlling, to the one recording the data. Do not assume that, well, pumasok man ito sila sa school, okay lang sa kanila. No. Put it in writing, better yet, impress upon your users, impress upon your students that these data are being stored and that these data are being kept for the purpose of this particular institution, of this particular educational institution. Now, what about basic educational institution? Senior high down. Quite simple. Talk to the parents. Same thing the same thing that applies to higher education institutions should apply to basic educational institutions. Write it down in your admission policies. Revise all of your admission policies in light of COVID-19, in light of this online mode of delivery for instruction. Put it down in writing. I cannot overemphasize the fact that the consent of the data subject is required. Again, the consent of the data subject is required. All of your online deliveries basically grant this personal information to a third party. Now, third party. Bakit? First party would be the student. The second party would be the school, your office. The third party is the messaging mechanism, the messaging application, the conference application that you would opt to use to deliver instruction to your first party. Meron na kayong pinagbibigyan noong sensitive information. Meron na kayong pinagbibigyan ng personal information ng mga bata. So, to protect the school, at the same time, to protect the student as well, no, put it in your admission policies. Now, Zoom, let's see. Here. Zoom explicitly says in the data privacy policy that they've got rigid control mechanism. They've got robust access mechanisms. So basically, well, they encrypt data that is being stored in Zoom Cloud. They record whatever meetings that you ask to be recorded via Zoom. Okay. A few months back, nagkaroon ng problema yung Zoom. And what were this? Well, hackers gained access to Zoom. So during porn sites, in fact, the mayor of Pasig City was a victim of this. If I was not mistaken, I saw it on news that he was having a meeting. He was conducting either a meeting or sa background niya dun sa kanyang Zoom na porno. So, but Zoom has sought the help of the U.S. Department of Justice, the cybercrime experts of the U.S. Department of Justice have addressed